going around to give them the exit ticket, I noticed that their box 5 wasn't perfect, so I was wondering if I should just give them the exit ticket or stand there at each one and try to correct it all, because that was I think that's where my time got messed up.
Yeah, and so I don't so like the first time swinging by, I don't really like coach them. I'm like, okay, this one's wrong. See
and then they need help.
And then I move on to the next person. So that way I'm not stuck at one person the whole time. I'm still circling. And then the next time I come by, if they're still stuck, then I kind of give them a little bit of coaching, and then I keep moving on. Keep circling. Cause I got 23 kids in the room I got to get to.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of not spending too much time with one person.
That was the problem with that, walking around and giving them the exit ticket, because like there was only 3 kids that. I think there was only like 2 or 3 kids that didn't need me to correct it and didn't need several minutes of me to correct with spelling and showing them how to write it out instead of putting 644. Yeah. You have to put 644 or 14 or it's just not correct. So I just wasn't sure, should I just move on, give them the extra ticket, and then we'll grade it and maybe reteach, or
and that's where
I wasn't sure.
At that point, if you're seeing that maybe, that's where stopping the whole class and just doing a blanket, hey, this is how you should be doing it.
I just wouldn't know where to write. If I needed to write it out and say this is what you need to write for number 5 or number 6, because where would you use the board? Like if I needed to write it out for them to copy, would you use the smart board?
I'd probably just put some on the whiteboard. I'd probably just I'd make up a number. I'd write 634 on
over here,
just on the whiteboard, or take the orange poster down anywhere on the whiteboard with a space. I would have written the number down, and I would have said, okay, 634. Gotta go to my chart. How do I spell the first word? 6. Oh, S-I-X. Okay, boom. What's my next number? 100. Okay, 100.
Okay.
So just make up a number as an example, and then that probably would have fixed probably 50% of your issues right there, because it sounded like a lot of them just didn't understand the expectations. That's all.
Yeah, and after I got to the 3rd and 4th kid that was having a lot of difficulty with the writing out the words properly and the spelling and accessing the chart, I was just out of time.
Yeah.
And then I should have done it up there after like the 1st or 2nd one, I guess. Or I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to figure out how to, or just put the answers up.
And just a few things to think
about. How about they put the answers up and then they check their answers? Would that be a good way to do it? Like say, okay, I'm going to put the answers up, or have the answers up. I noticed that in high school they did that a little bit. They would have the kids work on it, but then there was a sliding board, and they'd have the answers ready, so that the kids could be like, oh, my check, did I get it right? And if you didn't get it right, you could change it.
Well, because high schoolers are at that metacognitive level where they can be like, oh, it's wrong. What did I do wrong? Whereas 2nd grade, it's, it doesn't match. I'm going to erase this and write the right one, but not really go through the mental process of, okay, how can I make sure I get it right next time? Some 2nd graders aren't at that level, so that's why that probably works better for high school than 2nd grade.
Yeah, just so that they're not, like, especially if their parents see that they have all this wrong work in their book, and it's going to the next day, and they look back at, okay, August 19th, why did you have so much wrong, uncorrected work in your book?
In which book?
Like just their math book. I'm just saying, for example, they probably don't even see that, and they probably wouldn't criticize it at all, but at the end of the day, like they do their box 5, and then there's so many kids, let's just say 60% of the kids, it's incorrect. So would it be good to just put the correct answers up there and make sure they check, they say, and then I go around and say, okay, yours is right, you can do the exit ticket. Yours, you need to correct it, it's on the board. And then they can correct it, and then they have the correct answers in their book, and then they can move on to the exit ticket with having the correct answers on the board, or, I
don't necessarily think just having correct answers to the book is going to help them learn. They might copy it.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean they're going to learn it. And so if it does get to that point where you're at the end of the lesson, or I've got this big group of kids that does not getting it, that tells me I need to pull a group to do some reteaching.
Okay.
Or do a whole class review, one or the other. But just putting answers on the board and having them copy it is not going to help facilitate the learning process. It's just copying. That's all it is. Whereas, like, at the end, and the cool thing is with two of us here, one person can be pulling a small group. Like one person going around checking and they're saying, oh man, these 3 kids are just not getting it. Like 1, 2, 3, boom, back table with so-and-so.
Yeah.
And then you can pull the small group. That would facilitate learning if you're like coaching them and teaching them. So that would probably be a little bit more effective.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
Ooh, we gotta get them 2 minutes. I'm gonna...
Thank you.